All right, ladies and gents, welcome to some Gold Rush action. And I picked this one because the civilization said Spanish and Poles on the website, but apparently we don't have Spanish and Poles. We've got two civs that can be very fun to play and very beginner friendly in the Teutons or the Teutons versus the Franks. Agrato here is in the teal or magenta, playing as the Teutons, and then the red over here we have the Franks. If I were to recommend two civilizations for beginning players, I would probably suggest the Franks and the Teutons in my top five. Both civilizations are very easy to play. Both civilizations have some very relevant bonuses. The goal, of course, in the long term on this map is to control all the gold towards the middle. Will that be towers? Will that be castles? We'll see. Will Red's villager act as a scout for the rest of the game? We'll also find an answer to that. Yeah, we'll find out shortly. Did I say magenta, by the way, for this? This is not magenta. Did I say teal or magenta? This magenta's more of like a purpley color, right? I'm not sure where my brain was going there. So I rounded up for these guys. They're actually around like 550, 560 elo, but I feel like they deserve it. The scouting so far has actually been really solid from these two. It seems like a small thing, but it's actually so important to find your starting resources and form a game plan. And actually, the starts in general have also been really solid, as they've been producing villagers for the most part throughout everything else. Now, today's low elo day, we have the small tree mod turned off. But for a second, I'm going to turn it on to give you an idea of you're trying to improve why maybe you should consider using it. Because red has placed the lumber camp, which to the eye is a perfect lumber camp and is right up against the trees. However, that is not so good, actually, if you actually remove the height of the trees, and you'll realize that is very, very, very far away from the trees. So, if you like the big trees, if you like the immersion, that's fine. Maybe just be a little bit more mindful of how it works. We got like 3 or 4 tiles off the trees there. Very difficult to pick up on when you actually have the big trees. But it's all right. At least we have red making a lumber camp. At least there's some level of future efficiency. Not as efficient as Florid 24 would have wanted. Okay, boar runs to the other side of that town center. That's always such an annoying thing. Like, so there's this open space here where, you want the boar to land, because when you drop off the food with the boar, it like throws it up. Don't ask me how that's working, but if you drop it off, they just like stand up. So I don't know, they like, if there's like a chute that sends it up into the town center. But when you're over here, they can't do that. So they have to like walk up next to it, which makes life really frustrating. So I'm sure we've all been there with that. Anyways, overall, there seems to be some type of a build over here for red. The houses were good. The boar timing's been solid. A couple villagers on the lumber camp. What about this player? Oh, very different experience. Very different experience. We have a grotto without a lumber camp so far. A grotto hasn't taken a boar yet. And a grotto is taking all of the ibex at the moment, and is going to be walking back and forth to this mill. And I think when Agrado placed this mill, Agrado thought, mills can work for drop-off points for deer food, but also for berries. So let's make it in between both those things. And oh my goodness, we have the same logic with the mining camp. On cue, Agrado drops some mining camp, which is, it can work for both. Now, there's 2 ways that you can look at this, okay? The first way, you say, well, I'm getting more bang for my buck. I'm getting more value from my mining camp because I can use it as efficiently for both. The other rule of thumb, if you are trying to improve the game, is that is equally inefficient for both. And it all stems back, guys. It all stems back to my conversation on lumber camps. If you make an efficient lumber camp, you're going to have the wood to make multiple. Some people don't like to make multiple, all right? Some people just want one. They're a 1 mill kind of town. But you could, if you had a lumber camp already, you could afford a mill here, a mill here, a mining camp, a mining camp. Just, again, Not trying to change your way of life here, Grotto. Just food for thought. Truthfully, if I were to have like every player follow the way I would suggest play the game, it would kill Low Elo Legends for me. So I hope people continue to do this. This is the type of stuff that's awesome because Low Elo Legends is meant to celebrate all the different ways you can see the game, play the game, and I completely understand where he's coming from there. And also, Agrada's going to be the first one to feudal here, so not bad. Boars come in already. This looks to me to be Auto Scout heading towards the corner. So you imagine the scouting is going to be pretty thorough for Teal, if that ends up being the case. We'll see how it moves around. For Red, now this is more reasonable, actually. This is a low elo mining camp that's actually pretty fitting. Remember, in the long run, you do want to control all the extra gold towards the middle in this map. But really liking this for Red. Really liking this for Red, even though it's pretty far away. And, well, not sure exactly what the plan is here for Agrado. But Agrado's on berries, on gold, and heavy on stone right now. So might be thinking about towers with the Teutons. I love it. I love it. I also love how when players place mining camps like this, Red might prove me wrong here, but almost always they feel like, oh god, the town bell's been rung, the scout has arrived, and the scout is now fleeing, and the entire town is idle. Okay. Oh god, and now the scout got angry that he got hit by arrows, so he needed to take his anger out on somebody. Anyways, that was eventful, but I feel like any time a low elo mining camp is placed, players feel like they have to make use of it right away. They have to have one villager on stone and gold at the same time. They can't just have one villager on gold for a while. They always have to get someone over there on stone. That's the way I see it. And oh my god! Questions answered on why Agrado needs the stone. All right, Agrado's going to try and wall. I hope Agrado realizes there's a gaping hole over here. But the plan is to turn this into an arena, apparently. Also, another thing that small trees really helps with is this. Okay, there's not a hole there. I was really concerned because there's no way that Agrado would ever see that one. All right, couple houses along the front. Not too bad. We have stone walls and house walls as well from Red. So similar line of thinking here. You know, they're at 600 elo. I imagine they've been scout rushed quite a few times, right? And sometimes players, they learn the scout rush themselves and say, wow, this is pretty fun, actually. Other times people say, don't like it. So let's just wall it out. Feel like with that being the case, both players should actually be able to get their walls up. Oftentimes, the player who's walling won't be fully walled, and then the army's they'll get in, and it becomes a problem. I'm wondering if... Oh, God, he also placed a lumber camp, which is pretty far away. I'm wondering if he will know the gold's there, though. And this one's even worse, because you have to walk around the gold, but also because of the elevation there. So, like, the uphill-downhill situation actually made it more difficult to realize how far away that was. So that might be, like, actually 6 tiles. But, you know, it's evened out at this point, right? Fair is fair. This could be a long game, guys. Here comes the scout from Red. Now, that is auto scout. You can tell by the way it's moving around and changing directions. And the walls are going to take some time, but Teal did scout over here and is going to place more stone walls. 2 minutes of TC idle time from both players, but they're both doing a pretty good job with their production. And Teal's scout is alive. So, didn't die earlier, which I think is important. And also, I believe that Teal's not auto-scouting. Look at the vision there. What? A sneaky villager to the side. Ooh, wait, is she just going to take that stone? It is kind of behind Red's base, right? That could be interesting. Taking some extra stone wouldn't necessarily hurt. Clearly, this player loves stone. Oh, it's going to wall in the relic. Oh, guys, this is amazing. Listen, I'm in a great mood today. You know, some days I'm feeling it. Other days I'm kind of 50-50, right? And the 50-50 days are still a dream for me. I want to be clear on that. I love my community and I love what I do. But this game just has special written all over it. How many relics does he see right now? Is he going to send a vill for this one? Or this one, maybe? Keep in mind, there are wild animals towards the middle. Stonewalling in that relic to stop the enemy from getting that. I'm concerned, though, for Agrado, that Agrado has forgotten farming is important. Thankfully, Toons have really cheap farms, but Agrado, can you please farm away here? You don't have food now. Surely there's going to be recognition of this at some point. But Agrado's so focused on the walls right now. Here we go. This is our YouTube thumbnail, if we remember. I probably will forget. Here we go. This is for you, Ugly. This is the name of my thumbnail artist. Got it from that side. Got it from this side. Actually, hold on. Aha! No, go back. Oh, I can't actually rewind. There we go. Perfect. All right, this is amazing. Good content. All right, we go back. How do I do this? Oof. All right. I was worried I broke things there. Oh, boy. We've got the next relic about to be walled in. All right, let's try it again. This is for good content, guys. This is for my next 1,000,000 view video of a 23-year-old game. This is the moment. Sorry, the chat's all weird now. Who cares about that? Walling in the relic. It's not a bad strategy, by the way. I do think it has limited application once ranks get higher and people are making army. But both players here are more about chilling out than anything, right? They're like me and how I'm going to be on my Christmas break. Just relaxing, you know? So I think it's a reasonable thing to do. Sorry, I'm taking this thumbnail thing far too seriously. The farms are coming out now, and there are very pretty farms, I have to say, here from Agrado. 33 villagers. Red's going to be in Castle Age, though. Red isn't fully walled, interestingly enough. Okay. We're going to see a town center there from Red. And Red has made a couple spearmen and left it at that so far. Okay, so Red wants to add more villagers. Oh, God. And Red is going to wall this off. That's interesting. I want to know if this villager is going to go to this relic next, because that is right next to Red's town center. I so badly want that to happen. Okay. For now, Agrado's got other things to do. You could tell, though, why like a basic scout rush could do damage to both players. Teal isn't even fully walled yet. Red isn't fully walled either. So at this elo, just like, you know... Oh, God, he's going to wall in this relic, too! I didn't think this one would be walled in because it's so safe. All right. Now, I'm kind of tempted to go back and look at Agrado's other games, because I have tried to wall in relics before, and I've tried to wall it like this. So you go boom, 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 boom. So it's 4 walls, but not the corner piece. So excluding this piece, right? So it'd be like this. And monks can actually pick up the relics through the diagonal. So I'm wondering if there was a point, and we'd have to do a lot of research to find out. But I wonder if there was a point where Teal did just 4 wall pieces, and then the other guy got the relic, and now Teal's learned that mistake. Because I've seen that and witnessed that myself. Oh, moment of truth, by the way. Red's making a monastery. Red is making a monastery. We know what that means. Alrighty. Well, Red's going to have a pretty nice economy lead, but Red's not going to have the stone to drop a castle. And the stone count's going to be really, really high for Agrado here. Now, don't wall in this one, right? Because this one's already protected. But 3 of the 5 relics are walled in. Where's he going now? What happened to the other lady? Did she die? Where'd she go? Did she just go home? Is that her? I think that's her. She's kind of weak. Like she got attacked by something. Red can see this relic, and he can also see this relic. So at some point, you've got to think Red's going to go out there and try and get it. Okay. This villager, I think was walking around to get to that relic. Also, I'm not sure. Did Teal scout run by this TC? He must have. Because of the vision there. As we see a third town center for Red. I mean, really good job from Red. This is like one of the big basics of this game. Is getting as many villagers as possible. To get as many resources as possible. A really good play from both. Here come villagers from a grotto towards the middle. That's something Red hasn't really put a lot of focus on at all. And these villagers, they'll run into some snow leopards, which they can fight off. Hurrah! Hurrah! Poke it. Hurrah! Nice work. We'll see if the castle goes a little bit more forward, which would obviously prevent the opponent from taking gold, or just safe. And I don't mind that castle at all. I think it's a really good castle. A big reason that lower elo players pick Teutons is because the murder hole upgrade is free, so that's awesome. And we have a university too, so maybe a grotto doesn't know murder holes is free. I kind of feel like that's why Teal would make the university, but I could be wrong. Okay. Red's vision here. Where's the monk? Okay, the monk's getting this relic first. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to find out what happens here. Okay, Red's scout is heading over towards this relic, guys. I think Red is thinking about it as we speak. Yeah, there's the scout. So the scout goes over to sit next to the relic, knowing that the enemy monks could go over there to pick it up. Or wait, is that just auto scout? Okay, that's just auto scout. But we're going to give Red the credit and pretend Red's paying attention. Now, Red probably clicked the monk to the relic. And the monk is just going to get stuck there. We have town center number 2 now for a grotto, who's actually not even going for the relics. Maybe Red doesn't believe in relics, or maybe a grotto doesn't. And Red noticed. So Red goes, dang it, that relic's walled in. Let's go for the other one. Oh, I love this. I mean, Red really paid attention there, though. I mean, I give Red a lot of credit for that. Didn't even, like, wait very long. And Red's going to be like, crap. Another one's walled in. What is this? This isn't cool. All right. Well, monk should get stuck. Unless Red has already noticed. Yeah, that's what I was expecting to happen. So Red's probably like, well, crap. I really wanted relics. Relics are really important. And Red might not notice that for a bit. But Auto Scout has scouted that this one's walled in as well. All right, so Red has the villager lead right now. Red will be an imp soon. I think the important thing right now is that Red doesn't know that there's a castle there. But if Red were to find out, Red could obviously make trebs. 2 town center Ville production. Red was just faster to those town centers, guys. And Franks have very cheap castles. Does Teal see the monk? That's funny. Is that why he made the knight in the first place, maybe? All right, well, the monk's going to die now. That was a trap for that monk. And now he just runs back. And Red's probably like, I'm really stumped with this one, man. I haven't seen this one before. Teal's now making monks, by the way. So is going to eventually get the relics. Relics give you a little bit of gold income, but nothing too crazy. And from what Red just saw, his opponent's going to make knights. So he's going to make pikemen. The problem is Teutonic knights are really good against pikemen. So Teutons versus Franks is a really tough matchup for the Franks. I almost feel like the way I would view the matchup if I'm Franks is I would just play into my strong suit and never play to counter. So I'd always play into knights instead of trying to counter my opponent because they can counter you so easily with that turn into Teutonic knights. The elo for the players is at the top of the screen. We have crossbowmen now from Red as well. So again, not necessarily playing towards strengths, but I think Red is like, I need a mix. And Chuck says Franks can just make axemen. Well, axemen would be horrible against Teutonic knights. You would think not, because you'd think, wow, like axemen are good against infantry. But Teutonic knights have so much melee armor that they take 1 damage from a Teutonic knight. Or sorry, from a throwing axeman. Even if you get elite, you're barely doing any damage against a Teutonic Knight. It's a very interesting fight. Not something you see all the time. Mamelukes also only do 1 damage versus Teutonic Knight. Now, I think like if you have fully elite Axemen or Mameluke, and then they have 0 upgrades, and it's Castle Age Teutonic Knights, God, I forget. Does anyone remember the melee armor of a Teutonic Knight in Castle? I think it's like 10. But I think you can get to a point where you're doing like 12 damage against a... Or not 12 damage, 2 damage versus Teutonic Knight. But like a couple Teutonic Knights just mixed into a Knight army is really strong unless your opponent goes for good archers or gunpowder. But guys, relics aside, I mean, I really like how Red is approaching this. You can see that this relic's going to be picked up eventually. The Teal's going to work on that. But, I mean, it's not like Teal ever gained access to these relics. And Red is building up a pretty big force here. A big force with decent upgrades. And clearly has, like, a good outlook on... Oh, there you go. Monk's going to die there. What to do here? Red's going to drop a castle there. Does Teal notice this? Teal does not see the castle. Teal getting Bod Canero, presumably just for the castle. I think Teal's trying to lure this army into the castle fire. Oh, yeah. Oh, we all know this strategy. Oh, the micro. Oh, the beastly micro. And Red doesn't even expect it at all. And now Red's like, no, I've been fooled. Very well played. But now Red needs to make trebs, and Red has this game. Red's got good military right now. Just make trebuchets out of these castles and start to push this down before your opponent can make trebs. These are like those critical moments where at lower elo, you've just got to do one thing. And a lot of times they don't know it. But there you go. Now Red's making those trebs. So Axemen out of this castle, trebs out of this castle is the thought process from Red. And we're going to have archer ranges now from Agrado, who probably saw the pikemen. Does have enough stone for another castle up on this hill. Hasn't done so yet. It's going to be very difficult for Agrado to have the APM or actions per minute to be able to snag the relics and do everything else. Yeah, I mean, once chemistry's in, like Red's making a lot of production buildings, whereas Teal is just like not. Teal's been way too relaxed with that. But once chemistry's in, you can make hand cannons and bomber cannons. This is going to be a big problem for Teal. I mean, what's your army comp? You walled in the relics into what? Wall into relics into GG? Is that the strategy? It could be a situation where someone's brain is too big for their actual ability. Sorry if my audio is getting a bit weird. I'm just going to sit down real quick. You got to love the big thought process, though, here. And we'll see exactly what happens, because Red hasn't made any more than just 2 trebuchets. And they are firing uphill. So this certainly gives Teal time. But the whole strategy seems to be, let's tempt Red to get into my castle fire. Like, that's the entire strategy right now. Clearly, that strategy's not working. But, oh, very attentive here. And, oh, the bomber cannon doesn't go down. And now Algado, or Agrado, excuse me, is going to lose the treb. The relics are walled in, but the castle's going to fall here. And I feel bad for Teal because I was rooting for him after Oh, we killed the bomber cannon. What? There is a chance that Red gets really frustrated with this, and Red does dive into the castle fire, but it still feels so unlikely, right? It all depends on how patient Red is and how lucky Teal gets with the whole, like, trebuchet situation. Oh, my God. Yeah, see, Red's getting antsy now. Red's getting really annoyed. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? I mean, there's still so many trebs. And Red can still make more army because his economy's better. But you could see why Teal maybe thought that could have worked for a second. In the end, though, it's all desperation. I'm trying to think, like, what army have we actually seen from Teal this game? 2 knights. Nothing out of the archer ranges. Nothing out of the castle. No army. Sad times. Really not looking too good there. I'm not even sure where that monk is right now. Oh, he's Oh, he's inside the monastery. Oh, okay. That's why it did that. I kind of forgot about that monk from earlier. I'm sure Teal wanted to secure the middle and have a little bit more time. Because when you're under pressure, it's really hard to make difficult decisions. But at the end of the day, Red has kind of made a little bit of everything. And the important thing about Red's strategy is that Red build up with castles and trebuchets. We have seen over 1,000 stone put into repairing this single castle, by the way. No exaggeration there. He had about 1,200 stone when this whole thing started. And now we've just got another treb on the way. Oh, man. Good job from Red to make bombard cannons. Red really seems to know a lot about the game. I did explain why making axemen could be a problem. But still, like, Red had the basic knowledge. Like Chuck did in my chat, like, axemen should be pretty good against any infantry, even though that doesn't fit the situation. And well played to Red. Unfortunately for us, guys, the game wasn't super competitive with fighting. I still think it was a really interesting game, though. And there's a couple things that, you know, Teal could tweak, and then this becomes a different game. And I'm sure Teal will look back at this and say, man, I wish T90 would have seen the game previously, or, you know, one of my other games where I actually had time to make army, because this one didn't really happen, but it was still a really funny game. So, like, in the end, walling up the relics was a cute little play, but it just turned into a game that was so stressful for Teal, it never really paid off, or never really made a difference. And I think the approach with Red's economy, generally speaking, at least in Dark Age, looked a little cleaner. Actually, the big thing was feudal. Like, feudal was making farms. Teal kind of forgot about that for a long time. There was quite a big difference in the Castle Age times, about 5 minutes there. And that did lead to a weaker Imperial Age time as well for a grotto. And that's just being a little later to the town centers. And that can happen, right? If you have, like, two players that are evenly matched, and one player is, like, let's say they have the exact same speed, experience, everything, but Teal makes sure that these walls don't have any gaps and is really thorough with it and expands it to the sides, and then goes over and walls in every relic and is really particular about it. Makes it look good for my YouTube thumbnail. Sometimes that player forgets about other things, because Red was like, okay, that's cool. I just, like, made villagers and made more farms than you and had better economy than you and made army. Teal, I'm sure, was hoping it didn't get to that point just yet. I'm sure Teal was hoping to rebound. Military tabs, what people want to see. Army high was 4. So while normally I want the games to be a little closer if they do hit YouTube, I think this is certainly worth it at some point, because that was a nice little touch. And let me know what you think. I actually think that the walling in the relics is not a bad play. But again, it's not a bad play if it doesn't take away heavily from other aspects of your game, which I think in this case it did to an extent. Again, the approach wasn't bad from Teal to get the castle up. I think that Feudal Age was just focused so much on walling those relics for the long term, and the long term just never got there because of Red's really solid play. Love to see this amount of production buildings too. Like, what do we have? 5 barracks, 3 archer ranges, stable, even some production out of the castles too. So many people struggle to get army count at this elo, and even some upgrades too. Red did a good job there.